How much does DA affect performance, and do you consider this when making a tune used globally?
We do consider it. It is part of you know part of the considerations when we're developing the software. I mean, DA is going to affect performance. The amount of air you can pump into the motor per stroke is reduced. The amount of work the turbo or the supercharger has to do to get that air into the motor is greater. So
Yeah. And with that said, when it comes to the driving experience, it's going to be pretty tough to notice big, huge differences.
yeah, I mean, unless you're getting really up there in altitude, we do cap things like turbo speeds and whatnot. So so that it is a consideration on the turbo cars.
Yeah. I mean, certainly at 6,000 feet, there's going to be a noticeable difference than sea level, but that's going to be on every single car.
Couple thousand feet here and there is not a big deal.
Do you want to explain DA?
Basically density altitude.
Yeah.
It's
the density of the air.
Yeah.
So if you think about PSI is pounds per square inch. Mm-hmm. So if you think about 1 square inch and just think about a column that goes into outer space. So if you go 100, 200 miles out from Earth, there's basically no air, right? And so the density of air, 30 miles from Earth is pretty much zero because there's just no air. Now imagine all that air coming down to the ground. That air at the bottom gets squished by all the air above it. And so that is the approximately 14.7 PSI or 14.5 PSI that's pushing down on us. And we don't notice it because we've been created in this one bar, barometric
if you want a rapid example of it, dive into the bottom of a deep swimming pool.
That's right. So it's the same thing.
It's going to be the same thing. Your water pressure is going to increase just like your air pressure would.
So when you're 20 feet down and you feel that pressure, there's a column of water above your eardrums pushing on your ears.
Yep.
And so that's what the air density is. So when you go to 5,000 feet, there's just less air. There's less air above you. There's less pressure. So that does mean that less air gets sucked or forced into the motor. Now, what I mean though, like in California, there's drag racing, and you could go to the same track on different days and have different, DAs.
Yes. So weather
which is based on barometric pressure.
We're talking density. So it also includes temperature,
air temperature,
humidity.
So when air is cooler, it's more dense. When air is hotter, it's less dense. So you may go to the drag strip one day and you might run a 11.1, and you might go to the next day and you might run a 10.9. Now, can the average person be put in a car? The difference between an 11.1 and a 10.9 is pretty tough to decipher from like if you ran 5 runs, you'd have a hard time knowing which one exactly was the fastest. So that's what I'm saying. Like
the times if you weren't recording times,
it's not a huge difference. But to answer the question it is calculated in all of our tuning because the car has a barometric pressure sensor and lots of modeling in the software to determine what the pressure or density of the air is. So it is accounted for. It's pure physics. A brand new 911 turbo is going to be faster at sea level than it is in Denver, Colorado. So